Hey, what's up everybody? It's Chad. I'm going to go ahead and just make a really random juice recipe that I thought of the other day, so figured I'd go ahead and videotape it. I'm going to call it the Tropical Master Cleanse, for lack of a better. Ingredients are water from a young Thai coconut, and I grabbed a case of these guys the other day at the market, so I was pretty pumped. And we'll be using a lime, one habanero. You picked an orange one because since I've been on juice for a while and been away from food that doesn't really stimulate for the most part, I didn't want to go too hot. And typically the further away from red with a habanero, usually the cooler it is. That's not always the case. I've had green ones that really lit me up, and we'll be using ginger root. And what I'm going to do is just fire it right through my Omega juicer. I love this thing. It's very utilitarian, and it's a slow churning juice, so it doesn't kick up a lot of foam or anything like that. So first off, I'll just go ahead and show you how I open a coconut. Is I just put it down on the table. I use a meat cleaver, and what I do is you just make 4 cuts like that typically, and then usually you can just pop it right open. So I'll just go ahead and do that. It's definitely not a difficult thing to do. A lot of people won't buy coconuts because it intimidates them, but see, it just popped right open like that, and sometimes you have to poke a little hole in the meat, and voila, you got water. And then when I just dump it into a larger container typically, and I always put it through a strainer just because sometimes you're going to have particles, and especially if you're making something for somebody else and trying to introduce them to coconut, you don't want to have them eating shell. So just go ahead and dump that through there. This one has a fair amount of water in it too. So, and believe it or not, after making the video the other day saying my dog won't eat anything vegetation-like, I gave him coconut meat yesterday and he devoured it, so it's pretty pumped about that. And one note with the coconut water is sometimes you'll hear people say that if you get coconut water and it's pink, that it's gone bad and you need to throw it away. That's not the case. So long as it doesn't smell like it's rotting or it doesn't taste off in any way, it's fine. The reason that the coconut water can go on a little bit on the pink side is just because of the polyphenols in it. And polyphenol, that's one of the chemicals essentially that makes an apple red. So it's nothing that's going to hurt you. I mean, this guy is pretty clear, so. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, since I'm not going to be using my citrus juicer, I just didn't want to have to clean 2 apparatuses, so I'm just going to, anytime I put citrus through a juicer like this or my Breville, I always take the skin off. I mean, even if it's organic, just because, well, even let's say it had no pesticides on it, it can impart a bitter taste that a lot of people don't like, but if you're using conventional citrus, it does. There's a lot of funky things on there that you just don't want to be ingesting. And that's another thing to keep in mind, especially with holidays coming up. If you're making recipes for people and you're zesting, don't use conventional citrus because you're putting in fungicides. There's actually one coating that they put on citrus that is quite similar to coumarin, which is a blood thinning agent. It's actually a medication. So just keep that in mind. So I'm just going to slice the skin off. See, it's always good too. A lot of times people, especially if they're new to juicing, are a little bit intimidated. They'll think that can this and that go together, and will this taste good? If you're not going out and spending a boatload on ingredients, just go ahead and give it a try. And just because somebody else may not like it or may not approve of something, saying that it wouldn't go together, it may very well sit well with you. You don't really have to, unlike since you're juicing and you're removing all the fiber, all your ingredients are essentially on the same playing field, so you don't really have to worry about anything like food combining or something of that nature. So then I'm just going to cut it into 4s. And then with the ginger, I personally like a lot of ginger. You can just adjust it for what you do like. I'm just going to use a chunk about that big. And I just, since this guy is not organic, I'm also just going to shave the skin off of it. I used to not really think that that was a big deal, but I personally have reactions now if I don't take the skin off of a lot of this isn't a vegetable, but roots like ginger. I had a really bad reaction to turmeric that wasn't organic back over the summer, so chemical sensitivity, tons of fun. So, got my chunks of ginger, and got my habanero, have another one just in case, and I'll go ahead and stir this baby up. Another good thing is that the omega is nice and quiet for the most part if you're concerned about something like that. Now what I'm going to do, and this is a nifty little thing to keep in mind if you're also new to juicing, is when you're using something like this, like a habanero, or you're using anything like greens, it's always good to stick them through and then follow it with something that's juicy because it'll tend to wash it through. So I'm just going to actually start out with the ginger first. So stuff that through and then take my pepper, drop that on in. And it's pretty, I love this juicer, it just chews things up really, really nice. And lastly, my lime. That's pretty. Alright, so, nice. I really like it. See if I can get any more out of there. Alright. Dump that baby in. Give her a swirl. I really like that. Wow. I was questioning this stuff, this recipe, but I really like that. Cool. So, those ingredients sound like they're up your alley, and go give it a whirl. Yeah, so that is it for this video. Subscribe to my videos, send me questions, comments, like, share, and of course, go out there, have fun, drink juice. See you later.